Okay guys, so let's look at example 1 on direct proportion. So this example says y is directly proportional to this positive square root of x. So from our previous example, we know that y is now directly proportional to the positive square root of x. So this makes this the case. And then this now, before we do anything, would imply that y is equal to some constant k times the square root of x. So this we established in our previous video. So now what I want to say now is the constant of proportion will always be found, or the value of the constant of proportion will always be found by the second statement of the question, which is this one here now. So we are saying when x is equal to 9 and y is equal to 12. So this statement is to help us find the value of the constant of proportion, which is k, by us replacing y with 12 and x with 9. So we are going to put 12 where there is y in this formula here, and then say k times the square root of 9. Mind you, we are getting the positive square root of 9. So this implies that we've got 12 equals to k multiplying the positive square root of 9, which is 3, which then implies that 3 times k gives us 3k equals to 12. So when this is the case, we divide by 3, we divide by 3, which now implies that k is equal to 4. So the constant of proportion in this case is 4. So what we do is just replace the k with 4 and write the new formula now, which is 4 then square root of x. So this is the formula that we'll use for any other part of the question that is remaining. So now there is this question which says find y when x is equal to 1 over 4. So we need to replace x with 1 over 4. So we are going to say y would be equal to 4 times the square root of 1 over 4. So the square root of 1 over 4, I'm not using a calculator here, would be times 1 over 2. Okay, then y would be equal to, if these two multiply each other, 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 times 1 gives us 2. So it means the value of y when x is a quarter is going to be equal to 2. So guys, the most important thing is following the first video that I sent on introduction to direct proportion, which is coming up with these two here, all right? And then also get into this equation. This is the secret to getting the free marks on this topic. So what I'm going to do, let's look at the second example and see how it relates to these things that we are doing here. So guys, this is the second example here, which says v is directly proportional to the cube of r plus 1. So right away, we need to come up with the formula. We need to look at directly proportion. So it means v is directly proportional to the cube of r plus 1. So the cube of r plus 1 is this one here, which is the cube. All right. So if that's the cube, then it implies that the formula now would be v equals to some constant k. We establish what the constant is, okay, multiplying the same cube of r plus 1. So now once we do this, we need to find a statement that would give us the value of y, or the value of v and r, to find the constant of proportion, which is always given. R equals to 1, v equals to 24. So this statement, when r is equal to 1, v equals to 24, is meant to help us find the value of k. So we are going to substitute where there is r, we put 1, where there is v, we put 24. So it means we are going to say 24 equals some constant k, all right, multiplying 1 plus 1, okay, then the cube. This will now come down to 24 equals to k. Then 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 cubed is 8. So we are multiplying this by 8, which means we've got 8k equals to 24. We are trying to find the value of k. We divide this by 8. We divide that by 8, okay, to give us k equals to 4. Okay. So we are now going to substitute this constant of proportion into this equation here to make it complete. So therefore, the equation for this question now would be v equals to 4 multiplying r plus 1 cubed. Then this is what we'll be using for whatever other questions that may be coming on this question. So there is this now part here which says work out the value of v when r is equal to 2. So we need to use this now. So we are going to say v would be equal to 4. All right, open brackets when r is equal to 2. So we're going to say 2 plus 1 cubed. So all we do here now is to say 4 times what is 2 plus 1 is 3. Then we've got 3 cubed. 3 cubed is 27, if I'm not mistaken. And then 27 times 4, okay, would give us 108. So it implies that v, all right, v would be 108. So we would have found the value of this guy here. So it is important to be able to form this equation by understanding the direct proportion rule. So let's look at the third example on direct proportion, and that would be the last one on direct proportion. So okay guys, so this is the third example and the last one on direct proportion. Then I'll introduce inverse proportion. So the question says y is directly proportional to the square of x minus 1. So those of you who've been following, this implies that y is directly proportional to the square of x minus 1, meaning we square that. This now, before we go anywhere, will imply that y is equal to some constant k multiplying the square of x minus 1. So right away, we are going to find information that will make us find the value of k, which is the constant of proportion. And that information is y equals to 63 when x is equal to 4. So we need to substitute these values into this equation for us to find the constant of proportion. So doing that quickly would mean 63 would be equal to k, and then open brackets 4 minus 1 and then squared. So we've got 63 here equals to k, and then we've got this times 3 squared, which implies 9. So we've got 63 equals to 9k. We divide by 9. We divide by 9, would find that k would be equal to 7, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just confirm. Yes. So this implies that our k, which is constant of proportion, would be equal to 7. As we've been doing in the previous examples, we substitute this into the formula and then come up with a final formula. So this implies now that our y would be equal to 7, then x minus 1 squared. This is our formula that we'll be using for any other thing that will be coming on this question. So now the last part of the question says find the value of y when x is equal to 6. So we substitute 6 in this equation. Okay, which will now give us 7 equals 7 times 6 minus 1, 5. 5 squared is 25. So we multiply this by 25 to get y equals to 175. So guys, thank you very much for taking your time to watch this short video. And I want to say, if you are not following how we are coming up with this, can you watch my video, which is 4.0 on introduction to direct proportion. If you are a student, subscribe and like my video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you are a Facebook fan, like and share the page to your colleagues. Thank you very much guys, and watch out for the third video that comes on inverse proportion. Thank you.